Hello and welcome to Matt's Casual Cooking. Today we are going to be making bourbon baked beans. Really fun and tasty recipe for any time during the summer, but especially around the 4th of July. It's a great side dish to go along with any barbecue, really. So we're going to go over all the ingredients and how to put it together, and let's get to it. All right, folks. So before we begin today, it's a great way to get the fun summer food into your feed this year. Hitting that subscribe button. Yeah, it's a great way to come along on this food journey with us and get really good food. So what you are going to need first is you're going to need 8 to 12 ounces of bacon, and you're going to want to cut those into about 1/4-inch strips. You're going to need 1 medium to large onion, and you're going to want to dice those. You're going to need 3 cloves of garlic minced. Now I am using refrigerated, but you can certainly use fresh if you so choose. You're also going to need 1 teaspoon of paprika. You're going to need 8 ounces of tomato sauce. You need 1/3 cup of molasses. You're going to need 1/4 cup of bourbon, whichever kind of bourbon you like. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of packed light brown sugar. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of yellow mustard. And you're also going to need 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and you're going to need 2 teaspoons of kosher salt. Now and you're going to need a little bit extra for taste if you want. Now for your beans, you're going to need 1 pound of navy beans, and you're going to want to read the back because you're either going to need to soak them overnight or you can cook them before, and this will help reduce get some of the sugars out of it and just kind of help reduce some of the gassiness. This will pull some of the items away that produce gassiness. So you want to go ahead and do that, and the instructions are on the back of the package depending on what brand that you get. So we're gonna put it all together here in a minute, and I will see you then. All right, folks. So what you want to get out is a Dutch oven, and you're going to need the lid for this as well. Now, what I've already done is I've turned the stove to medium-high, and we're getting some pretty good heat right now. So what you want to do is go ahead and add your bacon. Hear that nice sizzling sound. And all we're going to do is we're going to cook it so it's crispy and brown. So it should take about 8 minutes. And then once that's done, go ahead and have your garlic and your onions ready. So I will see you then. So you can see we're pretty much done at this point. The bacon bits are very nice and crunchy, and the smell in here right now is just fantastic. So don't worry about the grease in here. All we're going to do now, go ahead, add your onions. And add your garlic. And all we're going to do now is we're just going to cook the onions until they soften. We don't want to, if they brown a little bit, don't worry. It should only take about 4 or 5 minutes, maybe just a little longer for the onions to soften, but we got the bacon grease in there. That's really going to kind of help it soften them up. So what you want to do now is just have your paprika ready. Alright folks, so right now the onions are starting to become a little translucent, and you don't necessarily have to press on it with your finger, but they're becoming kind of nice and soft, and just kind of press on it with the wooden spoon in here. So what you want to do now is we're just going to add our paprika, and you're just going to stir it together for 30 seconds. And then what you want to do is go ahead and add in everything else and combine it. Now, once that's done, we'll just move on to the next step. So I will see you then. Alright, folks, so you can see we got everything pretty well combined at this point except the beans. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and turn your oven to simmer, or your stove, sorry, turn your stove to simmer, and then we're just going to let it sit for 5 minutes. So once that's done, go ahead and get your beans ready, but also get out 8 cups of water. We're going to definitely need that. So I will see you then. Alright, folks. So we're already starting to begin to boil a little bit. I'm going to let it boil just a bit more for myself. Now, with the oven, as soon as it really starts to boil, turn your heat off. And what you're going to want to do, put your cover on. And we're going to cook it in the oven initially for three hours. And then after it's done, when you check it, you want to make sure that the beans are nice and tender. And this is why we also want to kind of pre-cook the beans or soak them overnight. So this will help with the cooking process. If they're not really, if they're still slightly firm, what you want to do is you want to put them back in the oven and stir about every 45 minutes and add some extra water if you need to. I'd say probably about half a cup to a cup at a time, depending on what your level is at. And then after that's done, we'll actually move on to the next step then. So I will see you then. All right, folks. So I went ahead and taken out the Dutch oven, and I just kind of took a couple of the beans, just kind of cooled them off and kind of pressed on them. And they're pretty tender at this point. But what we want to do now is turn your oven to 325 degrees and take your lid off. And we're just going to bake it until the sauce is nice and thick. And that's going to be for at least an hour. Now, if you need to, if it's not as thick, just stir occasionally and just let it cook for like 30 minutes to 45 minutes each. And then once that's done, I will see you at the end. Alright, folks, so you can see we are done. This has thickened up quite a bit, and it's really kind of at the consistency that I like to eat this as. So this is, again, this is going to be good at your 4th of July party that you go to, or just really, again, any time of year. This is definitely a very summery type dish that you are going to love. If you did enjoy making this recipe today, like, subscribe, share. Please leave a comment below. I'd like to know what you think. And thank you again for coming back to this fun food journey with me, and I will see you again. Thanks for watching. Take care.